Good evening, Internet. As you can tell, day 8. Day 8. Gosh, my math is really bad. I think day 8 of this vlog, or whatever you want to call it, 23 days away from Ironman Louisville, and I don't feel like death anymore, so that's a good thing. My head doesn't feel like it's going to explode. I just realized I am wearing my sunglasses inside. My head doesn't feel like it's going to explode. My sinuses still sound bad and feel okay, but at the same time, I am relatively on the up and up, feeling like I can get back to training in the next couple of days. And kind of the topic that I had in mind today, and probably what I'll write my newsletter about next week, one of the biggest questions that I got a few days ago when I asked what your questions were, was this idea of how do you split time in between the 3 disciplines of swim, bike, and run. And I have to say that I don't really think of it like that. You can definitely break it down in terms of the race of swimming, biking, and running. Certainly it's 15-20% swim, 50-ish% bike, 25-30% run. It's always individual based on your athletic background, but at the same time, you don't train the same as the race because all 3 disciplines have different ups and downs when it comes to training. Really hard to get to a pool, first and foremost, and running does the most stress on your body. So even though that makes up a huge portion of the race, I train that the least. But kind of backing up into what I wanted to say earlier is that a big thing. What's up, JL? How are you, man? Miss you, bud. I'm going to get you into a triathlon one of these days. That'll be fun. But this is actually JL's question from earlier, is how do you divide swim, bike, and run? And I have come to start thinking of this as different projects in different phases. A lot of coaches follow this periodization of training model, and I agree with that for the most part. But it's also kind of boring and really hard to focus on certain aspects. So for what I kind of do is break it down into where's your low-hanging fruit. For me right now, my low-hanging fruit, the thing that I really need to put first and foremost is getting healthy. So I just have that project of getting healthy. That is the first and most important thing on my mind. And then throughout your training year, it's a lot easier just to focus on one thing. If your weakness is the bike, maybe you name it, this is just an example, a stupid example, silly, really, of one of my biking projects from earlier in the year. I just called it Project Quadzilla. And it's kind of a silly name, but at the same time, I knew every week that for a 4 to 6 week block that my focus was going to be 80% on the bike. So it really depends on where you're at in your training and what you have the most to gain from each of the disciplines. I'd say for the most part, you're really going to have probably a similar breakdown of 30% swim, 60% bike, and what does that leave? 10% run. The run is probably going to be your least important focus, even though it's the last thing that you're going to do in the race. Success in the run is built on success in, yeah, we will see, JL. I know you're going to sign up one of these days. Success in the run in a triathlon is predicated on your swim and bike fitness. If you can knock those 2 things out of the park and you do your nutrition pretty much spot on, then you're going to have a good run. So that answers that question. And for the most part, you just kind of think in terms of projects, and that kind of helps you manage not only triathlon training, but triathlon training in the context of your life as well. A big thing that a lot of athletes and coaches don't focus on is that outside aspect of training in terms of life. And just being able to have everything set up and get ready at night, the night before, meal prep, meal plan. And maybe that's your big project as you're getting started into your training, is simply acclimating to training every day, and getting back onto a schedule. Finding whatever it is that you want to focus on for a 4 to 6 week period. Beyond that, it's kind of hard to focus on any one thing, but you can really start to dial in that one aspect, 1 to 3 aspects, really, really well in 6 weeks. And once you've mastered that or close to mastered that, you can add something else in. So anyways, 23 days away from Ironman Louisville. We'll see how the rest of this weekend goes. We're supposed to have a cross-country meet tomorrow. It might get rained or canceled, which is frustrating from a coaching aspect, but would be nice to kind of be done and be home earlier than anticipated. And hopefully I can just get healthy and focus on that project that I've been working on and just getting healthy and getting out back to training. Until tomorrow, see you then. Bye. Wrong button. What's up, Jesse? I'm going to turn this off now. I'll talk to you later.